Welcome to Two Poor Artists, where we're poor at designing the Nintendo Switch 2, but mostly we're poor at making art. I'm Isaac.
And my name is Benj. And today, we're designing the Nintendo Switch 2.
Because, in case you didn't know, the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out this week.
Mm-hmm.
This Thursday is a glorious day for all Nintendo fanboys.
Yeah, and it's a little bit late for us to be designing it for them.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's not too late,
too
right?
late for them to just recall them all.
No, they could. Once they see this video, one of two things is going to happen when Nintendo sees this video. Number one, they're going to copyright strike this video because we're talking about Nintendo stuff,
Right,
and Nintendo doesn't like it.
Yeah.
When
Fortunately, we're not
people,
monetized.
yeah,
So
right. So, like, what are they going to do? You can't touch us because you know the bank isn't
there's
involved.
nothing to touch.
No, yeah, we're untouchable. We're like apparitions of the YouTube art world.
Yep.
Your hands just pass right through us.
Mm-hmm.
And you get all inky, and you don't even understand how. I want to be an ink ghost. You know, like I don't, we don't do the traditional, woo, it's haunting.
What do you do as a
we show, like, we guide people towards our art, and that's haunting.
Oh.
And then, like, we get ink on them,
You just, like, draw
like,
on the walls.
you're in, like, your grandfather's old dusty house, and you feel a chill in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You look at your shirt and you have an ink stain on your shirt and you're like, what? This isn't the 1700s. Why do we even have ink outside of pens? And you're like, oh well. And then you're like, but I feel a strange urge to go up to the attic
Mm-hmm.
in the moonlight. It's, as you do. And up there, what should be hanging in the far corner?
Saggy butt horse.
Saggy butt horse. And they're like, oh, it's so haunting. And there's another ink stain on my pants this time. What is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Are the ink stains, like, in the shape of poor art?
yeah, they're like noses.
Yeah.
Nose first, mangled hand, ink stains.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, our hotel will still be well worth staying in after our passing. Because then it'll be the haunted Two Poor Artists hotel.
It might be more worth staying
I think there might be business partners that are looking to off us just because it would make a more gimmicky hotel.
Yeah,
Have to be real careful on who we choose.
right.
Also, we don't care. Anyone could build this hotel.
Even if your plan is
If it's like in the contract that like you got a certain amount of time and then things aren't going so well.
like
Ghosts.
we probably won't turn into actual ghosts, right? Like
No,
most likely that's not true.
no, but the lore.
But someone could pretend.
Yeah.
Like a Scooby-Doo situation.
Oh, Scooby-Doo situation, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was never allowed to
Why
watch.
don't we just fake our own deaths and do the Scooby-Doo situation?
Our art would be worth so much more. Man, all of our art. Carla could retire off of the book we gave her.
Yeah.
Brendan could retire off the book, and he hasn't even started work. You know how nice it is to retire before you start work?
Yeah, that's great.
Just because you were gifted
Yeah.
the book of the
And then we
dead
haunt-
poor artists.
And we haunt a hotel.
Yes, and that becomes the Two Poor Artists. Like no one knows why, but all of our art just starts showing up in all the
All
rooms.
the art is replaced with our art.
Ah,
And then people just like, get mysterious ink stains.
yeah, dude, this is a great plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is surprisingly more interesting than the regular hotel. Although I still, I don't know if I'm ready to fake my own death for art. I'll get there. Like it's just a matter of time. There's gonna come a time where I'm like,
or a business deal with the hotel.
yeah, I mean, yeah, whichever comes first. And at this point, man, you better start looking into how to fake your death. Do we take the? Is it like, oh no, they drank too much ink? There has to be like a cool. There has to be a cool story behind how we died. It says he was
in the hotel.
It says he was stabbed with a rusty ballpoint pen, and now he haunts these very hotel hallways, still with the rusty ink pen sticking out of his pocket protector.
I also imagine that it's us giving this tour, telling the stories.
Well, I
and
mean,
we tell it differently every time.
it creates a very mysterious lore.
But then it's one of those mysterious things because as like partway through the tour, we just disappear,
Mm-hmm.
and then they see a picture of us.
Yeah. And
Like,
they're
and
like,
oh, he was the one giving the tour.
I think it has to be the picture of us that we drew, though. So they're like, wait, was
Was
that
that
them?
move?
I don't know. It doesn't really. His eyebrow wasn't really cocked like that the whole time, was it?
But he's disappeared.
Yeah, but
now.
he disappeared. And look at this ink stain in the shape of him. We just have to be really good at like sleight of hand to where like I'll distract them and you can draw your face on them. And then I'll be like, "What's that on your pockets, protector?" That's part of the required tour. You know, everyone
you
gets a
have to
pocket
get
protector.
it- Yeah.
What's that in your pocket
In that case,
protector?
just give them a pocket protector that, like,
Already-
it has a
oh.
mechanism that
Oh,
creates the.
But it'll be like, "What's that? Is that a rusty ballpoint pen in your pocket
Yeah,
protector?"
it just like appears in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have to become like magicians, sleight of hand. We have to train as tour guides and masters of the disappearing arts.
Yes.
Like all in someone else's hotel that I guess doesn't know we're doing this.
No, we make.
Or they do.
We make a business deal with them.
Oh, okay.
This is the business deal.
So-
So it's the proposal. Right.
Oh, I didn't realize there's like a boardroom somewhere where this is being played.
Yeah.
And they're like,
They're like,
all right, investors, are you in? Or are you in? You know, and that's, I guess we're the ones giving this presentation in the boardroom, but for some
Yeah.
reason we're not saying it. We're playing this video.
right. Yeah. Why say it twice?
So much wasted
that's-
breath.
That's redundant.
We'll have to be dressed up like ghostly artists.
Mm-hmm.
Know what our Halloween costumes are going to be? The ghost versions of us.
But do they look any different?
No.
So our
But you-
Halloween
but you
costume
say
is
it.
just us.
Maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a little bit of like powdered sugar on our hair. little, although I would hate that so much. You know, like, oh, he looks ghostly. We just need to look more ill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we won't eat that month. We'll drink
Right.
water. They're like, you guys look dangerously close to death. And we'll be like, or is it too late already? Oh, but we're not that kind of, anyway.
But yeah, I wanted to just say we aren't that.
This is
kind
getting
of-
off the rails. What we really should be doing is drawing the Nintendo Switch too.
Yeah.
Because,
we could just keep giving different proposals of business ideas.
I mean, that's true. We could just scrap the whole video and maybe soon we'll just create an official proposal video for the, you know, two poor artists. Here's what we want to do
Mm-hmm.
with our career. If you're a
Yeah.
business partner who's looking into,
Right, because we
Investing
have,
in the
we have a lot
art.
of ideas. Like it's not just the hotel.
no, we have lots of good ideas. Thanksgiving is going to be changed forever.
Mm-hmm.
Fashion,
Yeah.
sports. Our proposal for that is mostly just get rid of them, all of them.
Yeah.
You know,
Except for the Olympics, where
maybe we'll come up with
we'll
some,
include
you know,
art.
some pitch videos. You know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we would like to pitch to you today the idea of getting rid of all sports except for art. And here's,
And making art a sport. If chess can be a sport, art can be a
I
sport.
think art is much more complicated. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly, team isn't a requirement of a sport.
We have like cooking. We have
but you
cooking
can have
ideas.
team art.
I'm willing to pitch a cooking show called Two Poor Artists, Black and White.
It would be cooking,
Black and white.
not doing art.
Well, I mean, it'll be both.
Right.
You saw our mashed potato video. We can do both. Think of all the foods you can draw on that are white.
Mm-hmm.
Mashed potatoes and
Bread,
bread.
pancakes, regular cakes.
Cupcakes.
Cheesecake,
Cheesecakes. All the cakes.
pies. All of them,
All the pies.
but especially pizza.
They have to be like uncooked, so it's still
You have
white.
if you have like pizza, white,
white sauce,
cheese,
Yeah.
white sauce, and then you draw on it with black.
ink.
You make the crust black also
Ooh,
using the
Black, white,
using
and then
the
black.
squid ink.
and then we dye some marinara sauce, some pizza sauce, black with ink.
Or you just use white sauce with white cheese on black crust, and then you draw black
Yeah,
on
no,
it.
it's and then you dip it in Alfredo sauce.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that next cooking video you and I do.
Mm-hmm.
There's an idea.
Yeah. It'd probably. I mean, it would be good. It's pizza.
Yeah, it couldn't be bad.
You can't do bad with pizza. But it's been our 10-minute.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the pre-show. Arguably the most interesting part. But here's the deal: the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out this week.
Which we have not talked about in the slightest.
No, but this, we want to appeal to everyone, not just Nintendo fanboys like us.
We want the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel people and the pizza people and the ghost people. There's like ghost hunters and hotel
Like
moguls.
Olin Rogers.
Olin Rogers.
We could team up with all. We
would be happy to
could-
haunt a hotel for
Olin
Olin
Rogers. You have to be listening to this, right?
Uh-huh.
Just contact us.
If anybody has any contacts with the people at the Haunt Hounds YouTube channel, please let them know. We would be happy.
We will be your ghosts.
We will be your ghosts on the Two Poor Artists special. We will haunt the hallways of anywhere.
Yeah, any abandoned
Hotel.
museum or hotel.
Yeah, If you're ever looking to spice things up, we're your guys. We will travel so far.
We will draw art.
That's pretty much it. We'll draw art. And
But like in a haunting way.
yeah, that whole with a rusty ballpoint pen. The ink that they bleed.
Yeah, we'll
'Cause
whisper into the weird devices
Uh-huh.
you use.
Yeah, we'll make the lights go on.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever you
Whatever
want. But mostly, we'll do it while playing Nintendo Switch 2 with you in our free time.
Because that's what we're talking
Because we're
about.
talking about
right?
Nintendo Switch 2.
Nintendo Switch 2.
Amazing how often we pick a topic and then suddenly, unexpectedly, come up with a better thing.
Yes.
But no, this is a good time to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 because it comes out this week. And
Yeah.
after 8 years of waiting, Nintendo's finally releasing their next system.
Yeah. So I'm going to be drawing what the Nintendo Switch 2 should have.
Yeah, because they didn't ask us, but, nobody asks us anything.
No.
We have to put ourselves out there. That's what, artists have to do.
Yeah.
No artist. No one was like, boy, I wish someone would paint bowls of fruit, And then an artist is like, I can do that. No, someone painted bowls of fruit, and then everyone's like, it's like what we've wanted all along. Weird kings and queens of old. People look at our art, and they're like, I didn't even know I wanted to hate that. But now I really want to hate that drawing. Or the opposite. There's some of our fans that, despite us not understanding why they're fans, they're like, I really like your art. And your personalities and your killer smile.
I think one of the main things that the Nintendo Switch 2 is missing is that it doesn't have like Ethernet ports.
Okay, so you're going with like it needs to have a switch, like all the IT guys in the audience understand what a switch is. The switch, ladies and gentlemen, is a thing you plug a bunch of Ethernet cables into.
Yeah. So like instead, like they always have to have like ports to plug controllers.
Yeah, and
into.
they've all settled kind of on like
now,
USB.
Now it's like USB, but it's like why?
Yeah.
And it could look like anything. Like that's what they used to do back in the good old days of video games. The ports looked like whatever they wanted.
Yeah, picture
Like
the
GameCube was like a half circle.
circle one. The N64 one was like
kind of
a circle.
similar-
It was a circle.
Yeah.
And then like NES ones. NES ones are like weird trapezoid shaped ports, and
like the
Super Nintendo
Dreamcast.
had like a rectangle, but it also had like a rounded side to the rectangle.
And the Dreamcast is weird. I'm putting 8 ports on here. And they're pretend like they're evenly spaced apart because
This is concept art, not the final product.
Because like Nintendo at the max number of players of any game, and this has been true for a long time.
The entire
is 8.
Yeah.
So back in the days of those old N64 racing games where you could use one controller for 2 people. And you can play with up to 8 players, and then then in the new Super Smash Bros. Games,
Because like realistically, how many people are you fitting in a living room playing one game
like
together?
8
is pretty good.
limit. Like you have to put a limit at some point.
Yeah.
And 8's the limit they decided. So I'm saying
We respect
just
that.
put 8 ports.
So
Just let
you're
me
saying
know.
everyone's controllers are going to plug in with an Ethernet cable?
It will, at least will look like an Ethernet cable.
Oh, but it
like
might
goes
not.
with the Switch, you know.
See, I'm a fan of this because you can get Ethernet cables that are like 100 feet long pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Right, and that's the other thing is that if they actually use the Ethernet technology,
Uh-huh.
like
Tell us about it.
USB ports can only go so far.
Yes.
Like-
Without being powered.
Yeah, like at best, a USB port can go like 50 feet.
And
or
I've
so.
always said I would rather play my Nintendo consoles at least a football field length away.
Yeah,
And now,
Ethernet port has basically no limit.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it does have limits, but basically it doesn't have limits.
no.
Like, like realistically, like you could
Yeah,
do it.
You wire
with
up
one
whole
port.
buildings with Ethernet
Yeah.
cables.
Right, you can't do that with USB. If you're doing that with USB, you're converting it to Ethernet, then converting it back to USB.
So is your Nintendo Switch 2 concept just the current Nintendo Switch but with 8 Ethernet ports on it?
Now it's also
It
going to
looks
be
a little boxier.
yeah, it's going to be. So I was originally just going to like make a joke and be like, it's the GameCube because
yeah.
that's what everyone wants.
Oh, a GameCube is a wonderful system.
But I'm going to make it like
Ooh,
interestingly spherical.
it's spherical.
And it's like it's kind of weird the perspective.
The game sphere.
But like imagine like this side is also so it's like it's hard to show
Mm-hmm.
because
You're
I'm
telling
bad
me.
at art.
Yeah.
But like imagine like this corner is square,
Yes.
this corner is sphere.
The opposite corner.
Yeah, the opposite corner over here.
So like if this thing fell off, so if this thing fell off your entertainment center, it would roll, but not very long.
it would roll like it would like wobble this way.
Yeah.
And then it would like stop.
I've always said a wobbly system is best.
Yeah.
You know?
But like the bottom's flat.
Yeah.
But like this side is rounded.
Does it have a handle like the GameCube did? Because GameCube had a handle on the back of it, which was arguably the most useless thing on the GameCube.
because you're not bringing it anywhere. And
No.
that's another thing that I would change.
Nintendo Switch 2 could have a handle.
Yeah, that's another thing that I would change about the Switch though, is that like why even make it portable?
What?
Like no one uses
That's the
it.
whole gimmick.
No,
The whole gimmick is that it
it's the
switches
gimmick, but-
between one thing and another.
Yeah, but
It's a
not
portable
anymore.
system and a home
Now
console.
it's called the Switch because it has Ethernet switch.
Oh, I see. So it's like the same beloved name. Oh, you're just putting the name right on the front.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever happens on a game console.
Yeah, but it's like
I'm trying to think.
You want people to know what they're looking at.
GameCube had like a
So-
GameCube logo
but
on it.
Listen,
They
here's
all have
the
like
problem.
a logo.
Here's the problem
Okay, what's the problem?
with not putting the name on there.
Yes.
Is like the Wii U. So many people thought the Wii U was the controller. Why? Because the controller had the word Wii U on it.
Oh, I see.
And people were just like, oh, that's just like an upgrade to the Wii. It's the Wii U upgrade, the controller.
Yeah.
This is called Switch 2. People are going to get confused. So you just have to be like, no, that's the Switch 2. The thing that says the Switch 2 on it.
Oh, that makes
No,
perfect sense.
no confusion.
I don't think there'll be much confusion due to the fact that it looks like a strangely swollen cube of cheese either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
You know,
it's
the
completely
rounded
different.
cube. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like
that's
no
what I
one-
mean. But like, I don't
no
think it
one's
needs.
gonna be-
I don't think it needs a
Yeah.
label when it's like.
And it's not the same gimmick. It's not the. It's portable and not
is
portable.
the gimmick just the fact that it has Ethernet switch on the
No.
front, okay. Or that
No,
it switches from a cube to a sphere?
The beauty of it is that it doesn't have a gimmick.
Oh.
You don't need a gimmick.
I think Nintendo Switch systems are awfully gimmicky.
The GameCube wasn't gimmicky.
Yeah, it was gimmicky because it had small discs
That's not a gimmick.
and it had a handle. You're right.
Nintendo 64 wasn't gimmicky either.
Nintendo 64 was gimmicky because it had a weird controller.
That wasn't gimmicky.
It had like a boomerang, man.
It still wasn't gimmicky.
It was weird. It's quirky. I guess that's what I should say.
The Super Nintendo wasn't gimmicky.
That's the thing Nintendo systems need. They need to be quirky.
Yeah, they're allowed to be quirky. That's not what I'm talking about.
You're
This is quirky,
Oh yeah. No,
but
this,
it's not gimmicky.
No, this is the thing that the
They
Switch.
didn't start the Wii was gimmicky and the Switch was gimmicky.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean the
The Wii
The
U,
Wii
you
U
could
had
argue, was gimmicky, but having a second screen isn't really gimmicky. Like that's
the
just
entire
good.
Nintendo DS. The entire Nintendo DS was what if it had 2 screens? DS dual screen
Yeah.
gimmick.
But
You know.
again, that's not really gimmicky because like people have been using 2 screens on computers for as long as they could.
Yeah, nerds and accountants,
Yeah.
which are arguably just nerds.
The other thing with this is like
This is pretty boring so far.
you're gonna be able to use a lot of different like controllers.
Ooh, what is this? It looks like a sandwich.
No, this is a controller,
Mm-hmm.
and this does have a screen on it
Oh,
because
so it has like a Wii U gamepad.
yeah, because the
Oh, I see.
gamepad was a great
It
controller.
was a great controller. It really was.
And it has a joystick,
Imagine.
and then it has the D-pad that is pointless in modern society.
Well, I mean, if you're playing like an old
But
game,
yeah, like people trying to play like the original Mario with a joystick, it's
Yeah, it
like
doesn't work.
they're gonna die.
gotta use a D-pad.
Yeah, but then it has over here the only button combo you should ever have.
Oh, so it's just like a GameCube controller with.
Like
Yeah, no.
because having one main button,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like which button is the main button? It's the big one in the middle.
Yeah, the big one that says A and is green.
Yeah,
Like green for go.
yeah. Except obviously this is all black and white.
This doesn't get a second joystick because
No,
you're
it
gonna.
does.
Oh, okay.
It's down here.
So, for those of you playing at home, this is a GameCube controller with a screen in the middle.
Yes.
I
and then it has we'll give it the full 2 triggers
Wow, you're
on
gonna have to
both
have some
sides.
big hands to reach that mountain of a button.
Like
It looks like a bear. Those are bear ears, man.
it's 2 buttons.
No, I was complimenting it. It needs to be quirky. If the controller vaguely looks like a bear, like like that's very Nintendo-y.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you can imagine that the back is ergonomic to the holding.
If you've ever held
It doesn't look ergonomic, but like the Wii U gamepad actually is surprisingly
it is.
comfortable to hold.
It's very comfortable. It's very
Even
big.
though it
It's
looks
very
like
thick,
this.
but it's
Yeah.
very comfortable.
Right. And then obviously you can just like we're just gonna put a GameCube controller. Like because you can just use a GameCube controller with this.
I didn't know the GameCube controller was so curvy.
Well, I'm not good at drawing.
I mean, it does vaguely look like a GameCube controller.
And then
One that's lost a little weight.
The GameCube controller only has one Z button, but we're just gonna say it has
It needs to. Yeah, yeah.
like, and then it has the proper button combos,
Mm-hmm.
and then I guess it
So,
has the
so does
start
this thing use
button.
discs like the GameCube did? Because it looks set up to use discs again, or is it using? It can't. Please tell me it's not going to be a completely digital console. Those are so lame.
No, of course not.
Like
It
I'll give props to Nintendo. They're kind of, sort of.
it won't use discs though anymore. Like that's old school.
It
like
is.
we have gone past that.
Yeah, PlayStation and Xbox haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this would use like cartridges of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
See,
whatever.
in case you don't understand why cartridges are so much better than other consoles
Mhm.
or other things, is because you can share them and you can sell them. You know, everyone wants things to go. I feel like every company wants everything to go digital now, because like you buy a game from them and that's it. You're the one owner of that game, and no one can ever borrow it, and you can never resell it. So
Yeah.
that company makes all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if I buy a Nintendo Switch game, and then you want to borrow it,
Right.
I can just hand you the game.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo's sort of kind of trying to do digital sharing now, where on the Switch 2, their Switch 2, not our superior versions, but their Switch 2 has like the if I own a game digitally and you and I are in the same room together with our Switches, I can loan it to you through the Wi-Fi of the building we're in, and then you can have it for 2 weeks. So Nintendo's trying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's still stupid,
I mean,
but I also
just-
kind of get why you can't just be like,
let people use it however long they want.
maybe they'll get there. I don't know. What is that?
This
Like
is
a nunchuck.
another controller. So this is like it's like a nunchuck, but it's actually good.
So
And
you
it's
mean these
big
are like
enough for a
Joy-Cons?
normal person.
So these are like Joy-Cons.
Yeah, like a Joy-Con, but like for normal-sized humans.
Well, like let's admit, you are not a normal-sized human.
Right, but I'm also like not like they made it for really not normal-sized people.
What kind of hand? What kind of person is this? Where their left hand and their right hand are shaped drastically different.
I'm just not good at drawing.
That right one you could stab yourself with if you're not careful.
They're
Why do they have antennas?
Why
Why?
have a cable?
Oh,
The cables are longer than this
why are they cables?
because cables are better than not cables.
Yeah, but there's so
You
much.
don't have to worry about batteries.
Yeah, the last time I tripped over my console cable, not with this Nintendo Switch.
I only used corded cables, and
I
I've
know.
also not tripped over a cable since I was like a child.
Do you remember the Xbox controllers where they had like breakaway cables?
Yeah, like in case you did trip over.
Yeah,
it.
but then the worst thing ever was like they just fell apart
yeah, and then you
all
lost,
the time, and
and
you
you
lost
lost the other
piece.
thing.
Yeah, you lost the part
Or
that goes
like-
into the system.
or like it would stop working because I just added a point of failure.
Yeah, I miss systems that you had to like take something out and blow on it for it to work. You know?
And it's like obviously these could be wireless, but it's like I would never buy a wireless controller if there's a wired option. Because wired controllers work better. You don't have to worry about batteries, and they're more consistent. They're better in every way.
I have a toddler who would like rip them and the whole system and the whole TV out of place if there was a cable on the ground. So, no.
Yeah.
I like wireless stuff. I admit it's not as good as wired stuff as far as like input time, but
Yeah, input time, or you have to keep them charged.
I think
Like, how often do you pick up the controller and it's not charged, and you have to charge it?
not very often.
It's happened multiple times while I was at your house,
But it doesn't happen very often, just when you're here.
but it's happened lots. Like half the time I'm here.
They just need to make it easier to charge.
Yeah.
I'm talking like charging floors and charging couches.
Mm-hmm.
You just set it on your couch. You don't want to think about what sitting on this charging couch does to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your whole body's being blasted with charging energy, radiation.
Or you just make it have a cord, and it works every time. And then, if you need to unplug it for some reason, even though the cord can be 100 feet long, because it's Ethernet now.
I like having the option. That is nice.
Yeah.
Here's the biggest question though.
Because that's one of the things with like the Switch is like so many of the cords you don't have the option to have it.
So this thing's delightfully quirky looking already. The whole half cube, half.
Yeah. Plus the
sphere.
fact that like there's so many controller options.
That's very nice.
Like, because I understand with the Joy-Cons that some people like to be able to hold it one in each hand
I
with
do
their
like
hands
that.
relaxed to their sides.
Exactly.
Like, that's not my preference because I don't play video like that.
You don't play them relaxed.
No. If I'm playing it, like,
And just stressed.
I don't play video games to relax. I play video games to achieve something. When I want to relax, I watch TV or something.
I guess it makes sense.
But I can understand it.
The biggest question with this console though is it black and white?
Of course,
Yeah.
you can see it.
Yeah, right? Like you can see these are the exact colors of the Switch 2
Yeah,
and the controllers.
right. Like, how cool would it be to just have like it would look like this.
Yeah,
Like, it
exactly.
looks like it's a drawing
That would be so cool.
sitting there.
You see those things every once in a while, like shirts or action figures that look like drawings because now they're shaded. Now I can't shade to save my life,
Right.
but someone could take this and make it, when you stick it on your counter, it looks like paper, you know?
Right. And then you're like holding the controller and it looks like paper. And same thing, like the screen.
Yeah,
on
if
here,
you have
like,
that,
it looks.
dude, if you have that, we can make the 2-port artist drawing game, you know?
Yeah.
Where you draw something and then the game rates how bad it was. And then that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it sends you harsh YouTube comments on the screen, like, "You guys should give up. Why have you been doing this for 3 years? What is how disappointed your mother must be?" You know. Side note: our mothers are not disappointed.
They've both been on the channel.
They've been on the channel, which I don't know if that's just like some weird acceptance that they had. Like, you know, like, I'm just going to go on. I'm going to love them through this phase. It's not a phase, Mom. It's not a phase. Art is for life.
But
so is Nintendo.
My point with this is that the two best systems to ever exist was the Wii U and the GameCube.
You just mashed them together.
Just mashed them together.
And made one half a sphere.
Yes. Because of Drake and Josh.
It's just, for Drake and Josh, yeah. You don't know the show Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
Drake and Josh and all Nickelodeon shows had this weird thing where they would like have things in their show that were clearly real things in the real world, but just not. Like the biggest one's probably that all the cell phone brands and everything that everybody has in Nickelodeon shows is Pear instead of Apple.
The Pear
they have
phone.
the Pear phone and the Pear Pad. I mean, they went really far in the fact that their phones are shaped like pears,
right?
Which is just stupid.
Yeah,
but it's a funny joke.
That wasn't how it was originally. But
no, Drake and Josh though. Before that, when the GameCube came out, they made a whole episode about the game Sphere.
Yeah,
and it was spherical, and it was just the dumbest. But so funny. To this day, it's still like a joke and stuff.
Yeah. So this is half spherical.
Yeah, I mean, why not make it real, right?
Yeah. But then, it because the Wii U gamepad was so underutilized because it was a failed system.
Yeah, it was. Well, we just never. They blamed it all. They're like, well, everything on that system we'll just never do again. They need to bring it back.
I do realize I actually swapped around the placement of these, but oh well. Pretend like
you say you're a GameCube controller fan. You don't even know.
I do know.
No, but it works. It works because you switched them.
Right.
You switched them. People are like, this isn't the GameCube controller. You're like, no, it's a Switch 2 controller.
Right.
We switched it.
Like on this one, it makes sense that I switched it because this is where your thumb would naturally rest. That's not really true with this.
That's what PlayStation thinks. PlayStation puts them down there.
Yeah, PlayStation's wrong about that.
It's true. I like PlayStation, but their controllers need to move the joystick up like everybody else has done.
Yeah. The second joystick's always weird because most games you're pushing the buttons and you have the joystick, and there's like some games you kind of want to use the other joystick, but it's like you can't have both the buttons and the joystick being main.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like that's not really how it works.
I think in the conversation piece, this is going to be on your mantle. It'd be like, "Oh, your console's falling off the table." You're like, "No,
like that.
It just rolled a little, but don't worry, just a little."
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Why does it look like you made it out of paper?" And you're like, "Because that's cool."
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, "Is that where you plug in your computer to get internet?" And you'd be like, "You'd think." But that's actually for all these array of controllers that I have over here that also look like I made them out of paper.
They're all different.
Yeah.
No
one has the same controller.
Yeah, because everyone just has a controller that fits to their... Because that's the other gimmick that I would introduce, is that like when you order the system, you like custom make the controller.
Oh yeah, why isn't that a thing?
And so it's like, oh, the controller fits exactly in my hand and is exactly how I want it.
Is that a thing anywhere?
No. But why isn't it?
Probably because the people who would want that are like professional competitive gamers, and I think people would think that was cheating.
Right, but it should just be a thing.
It should be a thing, you're right.
And then the joysticks are all like the magnetic joysticks. That
the ones from the Dreamcast?
Dreamcast. That still work perfectly to this day.
The ones that never can ever have joystick drift because
it doesn't exist because they used good technology.
That is arguably the worst thing about the Nintendo Switch is that all the joysticks eventually break.
Yeah. They come broken most of the time.
Well, some of the time.
And they like refuse to acknowledge it.
Yeah. But hey, you fixed
it. And all the buttons are like the pressure sense, like they know how.
Oh yeah, because that's how Nintendo, that's what PlayStation 5 does, and that's super cool.
And it's like that's not hard technology to do.
It's not. Yeah, PlayStation 5 does a really cool job with that because it's harder to press the buttons depending on what you're doing.
Right.
So if like you're climbing, you have to like press them really hard like you're climbing. But if you're like stabbing with a knife, it's like barely because the knife's really light.
Yeah.
But then if you're shooting like a shotgun, you have to press it harder because it's a bigger gun.
Right.
It's just cool. It makes it slightly more immersive, and all they have to do is change the pressure on the buttons.
Yeah. Which is easy to do using the same magnet type stuff as the joysticks should be using.
Yep.
And then you get the exact controller you want. Whatever that is, whether it's wireless, wired, all of mine are wired. These are the three I would use. One just like the GameCube, one just like the Wii U gamepad, and then one if I did want to play games relaxed. Because I definitely get the point of that. But I would make them bigger and make them more like the GameCube. But if you're a weirdo and you want your buttons in the wrong order, like other Switch games, you could just do that. This is because in my opinion, the main thing that goes into the gaming experience, secondary to the actual programming of the game, what you can't do with design with the system.
We're just the
is
console
the controller.
designers.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the controller is how you interface with it. So that's the most important aspect.
It is.
It like no one
It's the
cares.
part
No one cares
that
what the
you
system looks like.
The part that you touch and the part
Yeah.
that touches you.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't advertise a controller
and
that
it's how
way.
and it's how you control everything about the game.
Yes.
So there's the software. The only important thing about the hardware is the controller. No one cares what the system looks like.
I think making it quirky is important for Nintendo.
That's what I did. Like I'm not saying it's.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do that.
Nintendo stuff, above all, should be fun. It shouldn't be the most powerful. It shouldn't look like some, ancient spire out of the future. Like, I hate the look of the new Xbox.
Yeah.
It just looks like a refrigerator, like everybody says, like a futuristic refrigerator.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's cool and industrial, and it looks like a boring skyscraper. And you're like, yeah, but I want a fun console. Make it half a cube and half a sphere, please.
But the other thing that I hate is when every game console is just like, no, this is the controller you like. And it's like, but it's not. None of those are.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but you can't change it. And then like when you do, like if you buy some third-party controller that is what you want, it's like the buttons, like why can't you choose? Like when you get onto the system and it's like, oh, the buttons are in the wrong order now. My A is the B spot.
Yep.
Why can't you just be like, change what the button does? Like customizable button layouts for
That's
the
a
system.
software thing, man.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you're given the option of customizing your controller, you also customize the layout of the buttons.
I think this is a great plan.
Yeah,
I think you should title it and put your name and age.
Yeah, well, I guess the title is a Switch 2.
Switch 2. Nintendo Switch 2. I'm so glad we're designing for Nintendo. I'm so glad that they will reach out and, be like, hey, you want to learn Japanese and come down to Japan and draw this for, in front of a bunch of people in a conference room? And then we'll do it. And we'll
Nintendo,
be like,
we're giving you permission to not even call on us. Just steal our ideas.
Yep. Steal them. Use them.
It's completely free to you.
Especially when you see my Nintendo, you're going to be like, oh, that's what we want.
Right. You can take Isaac's Nintendo. Just take my controllers. I don't care what the Switch 2 looks like.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about the controllers, man. All I've thought about is the console.
All I care the controllers.
Yeah.
Like, just let us use any and all controllers.
Yep. That's what I want.
Customized layout.
I want, with like how good technology is getting now, I want it to be like before the system even comes out, you just like scan your hands with your phone and you send that to Nintendo and they custom make a controller for you.
Yeah.
Sure, that's going to be a lot of work. I get it. But Nintendo has the means and the monies.
I think I'll just, whatever controller they make, I'm just going to take it apart and then 3D print my own controller and install all the boards into it.
That should be an option too. That's what it should be. Every Nintendo system should just come with the 3D printer. And you can print whatever controller you want and just stick the tech. They just send you the tech. You print your own controller and stick it in the whatever shell you want. Because, like, why not? Right?
Yeah, it's just better. Complete freedom.
Until everybody's hands.
Isn't that Nintendo saying, burgers your way?
That is definitely their saying. Have it your way. And if they do that, we'll respond with PlayStation's saying, and we'll say, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And then there's Xbox. It's like, we got the meats. And you're like, calm down, Xbox. We get it. You're a refrigerator. You have all the meats. Just calm down and back in your cage, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then Sega comes saying,
Sega. And you're like, we get it, Sega. We get it.
I was going to say fresh, never frozen.
Oh, is that what they say now? I always forget.
Yeah.
Sega just got like more frantic over the years. It was like, Sega. And then it was like, Sega. And then it was like, now I guess it's fresh, never frozen. That's just like a jab at Xbox, I think. Xbox was like, you're not even shaped like a fridge. And they're like, see, we knew it was a fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Haha.
Yeah.
Sega's so dumb. Anyway, you know it's not dumb? Nintendo. Nintendo's lovely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Like, I think, from what I'm seeing from Nintendo, they're having a hard time giving up the whole general shape of the Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole gimmick is that it switches from handheld to not handheld. You can dock it. And, like, I get that. For those people that are, like, on an airplane or the one time a year you go on, like, a long road trip.
Right.
But other than that,
you're not the one driving.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
I get it. It's for kids.
Yeah. But, like, also, if it's anything like my Nintendo Switch, it has stayed docked 99% of the time I've owned it.
When I went on long road trips, we plugged in the TV and we played the Nintendo 64 in the car.
That today is just wild to explain to somebody. You're like, we plugged in a Nintendo Switch to the TV to the cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
People are like, how old were you? How old are you? You know?
Yeah.
Like, cigarette lighter. Like, those aren't in cars. Now cars have, like, the car is a battery. So it's like, well, yeah, of course you can do it now.
But
you got Teslas that, like, literally build video games into the car.
Yeah. But it's like you don't need the Switch to do that.
No, but here's the thing. Nintendo, cut its teeth making handhelds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Nintendo was cool, but the Game Boy was, like, revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like, bringing your games with you in your hand.
Right.
And it's mail.
I'm kind of surprised that they went to the whole Switch route, because it's like, now they're only making one system.
I know, right?
They used to sell
They used to sell home consoles, and they used to sell handheld ones.
And we all bought all of them. And
we
bought multiple handheld.
We did. You and I both had 2 DSs and 2 3DSs.
Like, as a family,
and 2 Game Boys.
Yeah, like, as a family, we had GameCube. Yeah. But then each one of us had a handheld.
I know you and I both had 2 different 3DSs. 2 different DSs.
Yeah.
2 different Game Boy Advances. I did, at least. I don't know if you ever had the Game Boy Advance SP.
No.
But I did. If someone in your family did. Someone had a blue one.
Yeah.
Like, we were buying 2 of every handheld.
Right.
And then, here's the thing.
Like, my family, like, I had, 3 siblings growing up. And, like, all of us had handhelds.
Yeah.
We together had one home system. But then each of us, so it's like,
I don't know too many families that have more than one Nintendo Switch.
Often buying more than one Switch.
Yeah.
Like, some people do, especially once, like, the Switch Lite came out. Some people bought
those
a
are
second
so
one,
lame.
as, like, the handheld version. But it's like, and there are reasons too, because, like, with the Pokemon game, you could play together. And so it's like, it's kind of, but you would need 2 systems to play together. It's like, there are potentially reasons to, but it's like, it used to be they would get a lot of money out of us by doing 2 systems. It's just strange that they made the choice to not do that anymore.
It's true.
Especially since I wish that they still had the 2 separate systems. Like, I'm begging Nintendo to let me spend more money to them.
It's true. I'm just throwing a bone to Nintendo here. I'm like, you want to keep the original look of the Switch? Cool. But I'm going to change something pretty drastic. There's my favorite button on the Switch. You know what that button does? That button takes a screenshot. So when you're doing something great, you're playing with your friends, you just won a Super Smash Bros. Match, or you just got a star in Mario Party, you just go, click, and you take a
You'll
picture.
notice I didn't include that button.
I love that
because
button.
it's so pointless.
No, I love that
and
button.
you accidentally push it, and then it fills up your drive with
Yeah, but it's also
pictures.
It doesn't fill up to drive.
And then you have to go and delete them all because they're useless.
It's wonderful. That's all I'm trying to say. I love it.
I've never once taken a picture on purpose.
I really don't understand the whole plus and minus thing, because every other system just has.
Just have a start button.
Like, okay,
It's so annoying because it's like, okay, which start button do I have to
yeah,
push?
true, right? Because like they used to be select and start.
Right.
It's better than like PlayStation though. PlayStation's like we got 3 lines over here,
Yeah.
and another shape over there.
Right.
Like they tried to go really simple. Nintendo tried really simple. They're like A and B and start, and you're like, I get it, Nintendo, thank you. And then they're like A and B, and you're like, I know what the next 2 buttons are going to add are C and D. No, X and Y. They didn't even go to the end. You're like, maybe they go to the end of the alphabet.
Right.
Y and Z. No. They started with X and Y. I don't know where that concept came from, Nintendo. And then R and L. You got like a broken alphabet on your Nintendo system.
Yeah.
PlayStation was just like stupid. They're like, we just got shapes,
Well, R and
Random
L
shapes.
stand for right and left.
I get
They do have a Z button.
They did eventually on the N64, but not Super Nintendo. They included X and Y, and they're like, hang on, we're going to hold off a few years for Z.
Yeah.
Like, some of them make sense. You're right, like R and L. But why A, B, X, Y, Z? Complicated.
Yeah.
What's even more complicated,
There
though,
is the D-pad and the C stick.
which, yeah, they eventually got there. But you know how many years that took?
Yeah. But then
It was
where's all
like
the buttons
5
in
consoles
between?
to get a broken bit of the alphabet together.
Yeah.
I want all the letters eventually, like I want the whole alphabet. I want a keyboard, man. That's what just a
I mean,
keyboard.
the keyboard is just a good controller.
Yeah, so maybe I should add some more buttons.
Keyboard and mouse.
I'm thinking I need to add some more buttons. We have A, B, X, Y, R.
But why are the A and the B where you said they were?
R and L,
Like you didn't even say it the way
A, B, X, Y, which go.
the other thing I hate about the Switch controller is that they changed the position of A and B.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense. I know.
Because it's like they were the original ones to design the placement of the buttons, and then other people copied them, and then Switch is like, well, we need to do it differently now.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, you guys invented it.
So wait, hang on.
Keep it the same.
Keep my alphabet steady for me. We have A, B, X, Y, R, L. They have like Z buttons up there with
There's
those.
2 Z buttons.
2 Z's. They went really overboard with Z's. The D-pad, we'll call this the C joystick, because in some games it's that. So we got A, B, C, D. This is the E button. We got F.
You could draw the backside, and
G,
because you can have
H,
lots of buttons where your
J,
fingers in the back go.
K, L, M, N.
Why are they so out of
O,
order?
P. Oh, because Nintendo started this. I'm just taking it full. And then I guess the rest are just on the back. I mean,
You have more fingers in the back.
I don't really want to draw the
front.
I don't really want to draw the back. Just imagine the back is
On
like
the
a
front-
small
On the
keyboard.
front, you have your 2 thumbs. On the back, you got all 4 other fingers.
Yep. Nope. Most of them are gonna be thumbs.
Yeah.
Imagine the Mario Party games when it's like press Q and you're like, where's Q?
You're just like playing like a dance type
Yeah,
game.
dude.
And it's just like, oh,
Imagine the screen.
This is like 26.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful. Those Guitar Hero people are gonna look like wimps compared to what you have to.
You can make some of these instead of buttons, they can be joysticks, so they could have directions and
Maybe we need some other things.
like extra joysticks.
We'll add. Okay, I don't know how far I got up into letters. We'll add some other ones later.
I mean, at this point, you can just keep adding. Like you got.
Nope, not yet.
There should be a joystick on the back, I think.
Oh, we could put a joystick on there.
Like one on each side, so you can, for some reason.
For some reason. Let's see. Let's talk about.
If you put buttons everywhere.
These aren't buttons.
No, I know that. But if you put buttons everywhere, and then you let people choose which buttons do what, then you can do anything
Yeah, see?
like that. That just gives complete freedom.
I don't know how small these buttons are going to have to be to fit onto regularly normal Joy-Con looking things, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well,
it's
hopefully
okay.
they're bigger than a Joy-Con.
I mean, they will have to be bigger than it. At least Switch 2 is making their Joy-Con slightly bigger.
Yeah,
They're not going to
like
make it
that-
big enough
that's
for
a
this many
slight-
buttons.
Yeah, like it's a slight improvement to make them a little bit bigger. Joy-Cons are like unusable.
You ever played a Bop It? This will basically like the most extreme Bop It you've ever seen. Be like, press Q, Q, and you're like,
every game is just gonna be like, imagine playing Super Smash Bros. With this many buttons, like they all do something different, like slightly.
Yeah, it'd be kind of wild, wouldn't it? Okay, we're gonna add some. I don't know what these are.
Antennas.
Yeah, right. They're kind of useless. Maybe they're like those are no, they're not antennas. They're like joysticks, like Pac-Man joysticks.
Oh.
Up
You
on
can
the
like
top. So you gotta, you get two the little fingers. You gotta steer.
it's like you're just holding them with your two fingers.
This is for the people from the 80s. They'll really appreciate this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. This is just a boring Nintendo console with lots
it
and
has a
lots of
face and-
yeah, but it's so far it just
joysticks.
looks like the Switch relatively. You look at that, you're like, I get it. This is like looks more like the Switch 16, where they just keep adding buttons. Like
this is
every year they add a button.
This is beyond the point of gimmicky. This is like
Quirky.
Once the gimmick, it has every button.
Yeah, it's quirky. There's a difference. But here's the deal. This thing switches.
You should just make the surface be like a touchscreen, and everything is a button.
No, because nobody wants that. They want to feel real buttons. Point is, this
Yeah, but
thing.
when everything's a button, is there real buttons?
Point with this thing is that it switches. Because like, here's the deal. No one wants to carry their Nintendo Switch around. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They all want it to switch, and they want it to be portable. I'm gonna give them what they want.
When you say switches, do you mean like whipping people?
No, I don't. But that is
Okay.
the other kind of switch, isn't it? we were contemplating different switches earlier today in preparation for this video.
Yeah, we always talk about what puns exist.
Yeah, we do. It's not just the cleverness of our own brains on the spot. It's the cleverness of our brains 10 minutes before we start recording.
Yeah, when we decide what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Okay, I just want to point out that this is a big light switchy type thing.
Okay.
That's
so,
a switch.
So you can like switch.
So here's
Does
how
it
this works.
turn it on and off?
No. It turns it into a robot.
Oh.
Nintendo used to be on board with robots. They used to have Rob, the robot.
Yeah.
They used to be all like, oh, the future is robot. You know how cool, how many
What?
people have
What?
promised us cool.
What is that? Like, does it have abs?
It's like the pelvis. It needs to twist and move.
No, I didn't mean the pelvis. I meant like above the pelvis.
This, it's just wires coming down.
It looks like abs.
I don't think it's wrong to be jealous of your Nintendo Switch,
But its leg is so skinny.
Well, yeah, it's got to fold up. Because what happens is it looks like this, and then you press one of the buttons, probably the S for Switch.
Not the light switch.
Well, no, because that it all gets sucked up into the console.
Oh.
Everything you're about to see is not permanent. It all, because all this becomes it's the Nintendo Switch because it switches into a robot.
They should like build
With
into
really derpy looking fingers.
They should build into it like chatbot AI type stuff, and then make it so like if you don't have a friend to play with, it will play with you.
Totally. See, that's
Like,
what I'm.
and it will play a 2-player game with you and like trash talk you and stuff.
Yeah. No, this console is going to become your best friend.
Yeah.
That's what they'll advertise it as. The Switch 2, your new best friend. There'll be like
Right.
parent groups all after this thing for being like, we love it. Now our children never have to make friends.
Yeah.
'Cause it is their friends. And then you'll have like, I don't know, like Christian parents that are like, nope, no. And then eventually they'll cave because they want one.
Right,
You know?
yeah, because it's cool.
You know how sick parents are of driving their kids to their friend's house?
Yeah,
You know?
don't have to drive.
They're like, you don't need friends, little Timmy. You have your friend right over there. And little Timmy is like, it's always beating me at games.
Yeah.
Trash talks me. I'd be like, toughen up, little Timmy.
Yeah.
It's just the Switch 2.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But imagine
like,
all
you could
this.
probably like choose how it acts, but like who wouldn't want the trash talking?
Seriously, right? So eventually, yeah. So like, imagine this thing just like walking around with you.
Why?
Too.
You need to finish the pelvis. Like the legs aren't really attached to anything.
Better?
No.
Oh, that didn't. Well, now it's got to go up here too. Maybe we just. I don't know.
Yeah, that works a little bit more. It's just weird looking though.
Yes, it is. It's quirky. You know what this robot's name is? His name is Quirky.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like so hard to beat it in any game.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Because it's like
don't even
like because they can push all the buttons.
They can
All
26 buttons.
And you're like, oh man, dance, it's too hard
Yeah.
now. So I can't even. There's not even 26 different colors.
Think,
I
of
can't
how,
tell the
think of how
difference.
much this will toughen up kids of the future. You know, people are always like, video games are so bad for you. Now they'll be like,
Can you imagine-
you can't beat Quirky the robot.
Can you
at Dance
imagine
Dance?
the black and white 26 button version of Dance Dance?
It'd be amazing. That's why they label them, man. It's like colorblind people are finally they're like, yes, finally.
Especially when all the buttons are like out of order. Like, like no one.
This thing will be the greatest training device for
Yeah.
hand-eye coordination the world has ever seen.
Like people will be able to do this. and
No
just,
one-
like fly military planes.
Yes, exactly. No one our age will be able to be the child that's been trained
No.
up on this thing.
No.
You
will
know,
be- it'll
we'll be
be
like, back in
embarrassing.
my day, we had 4 letters, and they were A, B, Y, and X.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, great grandpa. You're so ridiculous. We got
Everyone
all the
knows.
letters of the alphabet, plus the new one that was added last year.
Yeah. I could even beat Quirky at it.
Yeah, and you're like, Quirky, I don't trust that. Bot. You know? You'd be like, oh, grandpa. I bet you have real friends, too. Switch 2 is sticking around for a long time. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Right,
you know?
yeah, because once you make this, it's the perfect
It
system.
becomes part of the family. You
Yeah.
know? Everyone has their Quirky bot, and there's no need for... We don't want to think about the society. The point is, it's going to be a great console, and it follows you around. Think about playing this with a friend, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta carry my Switch over to my friend's house." Lame. And this just like follows you.
Especially when it's like clearly like 100 pounds
Yeah,
of machinery.
definitely not light. That's okay. You know, it
Because
follows.
it walks itself.
Yeah,
So
it walks
doesn't have to
itself.
be light.
You'll see kids walking down the street to their friend's house with this.
Yeah.
And then you'll see 2 kids at the park, and they've each pulled off one of Quirky's ears.
Mm-hmm.
I guess those are his ears. And they're each playing this, you know?
Yeah. And then of course you have like the kid that's gonna come over and make fun of you and try to steal your Quirky.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just gonna
He beats up
Beats
the
them up
bully.
and-
Yeah, there'll be no
and
more
make fun of
bullies.
them back.
There'll be no more bullies.
Yeah, because everyone has their best friend that defends them from
Yep,
the
it's
bullies.
true. And they won't fight each other because they're all equally powered,
Yes.
you know? And, yeah, Quirky will complain whenever you buy an off-brand piece for him. You're like, what? A-power? Why does it light up? You know?
Why is the joystick a metal
Yeah.
needle?
Yeah, that was N64. They'd be like, it's Nintendo or nothing, you know, like they used
Yeah.
to say.
But it'll still work
Yeah.
because no one wants to have to buy the on-brand controllers.
Anyway, my point is, this is a great Switch. You flip the switch, and it just goes back up into a normal Switch shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then you switch
can
it. The
easily
Switch.
carry it around. All 100 pounds of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it probably has wheels. We'll put some here. We'll put some wheels coming out the bottom. You know, just. We'll know these are wheels.
Yeah.
So I think this would be great. I think I would buy one. Here's the thing. I'll buy any Nintendo console. I will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they came out with a Virtual Boy today. I would be first in line buying a Virtual Boy, being like, you guys don't understand. Red lines of the future. Sitting at your table with your head stuck in the console's the future. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I might think I'm wrong, but it's Nintendo, so you just like go with it. You know? I'm not that big of a person about like Xboxes, PlayStations. I'll buy those maybe one day when they go on sale or there's like a really interesting game. I buy Nintendo consoles right away because Nintendo is best.
Yep, they are the best.
That's why I want it to be my best friends. You know, I'm sorry. You understand. You'll have your.
Yeah, I'll also have my own quirky.
And we can get together, and our quirkies can hang out.
Yeah, the four of us can play through Smash Bros. Together.
Yes, we can. You and I can both lose to the superior consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will trash talk us.
Yeah, and we'll find weird human friendship bonding over the fact that we can't beat our actual friends.
Because you have 27 different ways to push the punch button.
I think this might also be like how the robot war starts. You know, people are like, I hate these consoles. Can never beat them.
Yeah.
I can beat them at war. You know, then,
What they were better at.
yeah. And then the robots are like, I don't know. There's a lot of video game war games.
Yeah,
we're always better at them.
We've been trained. And then
We've fought all of World War II.
So it's not even that like there's any animosity towards us on their part, but it's like we challenge them to war so we can win at something.
Yeah, and they have to
they
win.
they're like, I guess this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, they're like the robot in war games, you know.
Yeah.
They just think of it all as a game.
Right. And then they just destroy us.
Yeah, and it's our own fault.
Because of course they do.
Yeah. No one's surprised when when the quirky uprising happens.
Yeah, because they've been beating us in video games this whole time.
Exactly. I think we'll turn on them well before they turn on us because we'll be so frustrated with them.
Yeah.
Except for like all the children that are like, what are you talking about? We always beat quirky.
Yeah, we beat them. They're so easy.
I use my fingers.
Easy mode.
I can press all 26 buttons at the same time. With my 10 fingers. You're like, oh my gosh. What are you?
Yeah.
Just saying. The Switch concept needs to be expanded. Not just handheld or TV mode. It needs to be robot mode.
Yeah.
You know, and Nintendo, back on the original Nintendo game days, they had Rob the robot.
Yeah.
You could buy Rob, and what did Rob do? He played a game with you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
just continuing. Yeah, this is the original Nintendo concept.
Yeah, and this is the type of thing Nintendo always does. Like, Nintendo was the first ones to connect to the internet.
Yeah.
Then they didn't like it, and they stopped for a while.
Yeah, they were the first ones to make a robot, and they stopped.
Doing it again.
Just I'm telling you, back to the origins of Nintendo with the Nintendo Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you know, I think this is the future. Now, I know, like we said earlier, Nintendo Switch 2 comes out in like 4 days.
Yeah.
But it's not too late, Nintendo. If you see this and you feel the need to like pull them all off of shelves and
rebrand them,
build them into robots.
Or if you want to be a bit more reasonable and do my idea,
I don't think
let us do customizable controllers.
I think
that's all we want.
Here's what I'll do for you.
Gaming will be a lot more fun.
Here's what I'll do for you, Benj. We'll add 8 Switch ports.
Yes.
That way, your controllers, you know, imagine everybody coming up and being like, plug in to
like
Quirky.
Like, I have my favorite controller that I custom made.
I'll just plug into Quirky's belly and imagine seeing like a street corner in the future and there's just a bunch of kids gathered around a robot, all plugged into the robot with different controllers.
And the robot's just destroying all of them.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be
and then trash talking them.
Yeah. It's gonna be a great future. And we're old enough to we'll be like, kids. It'll toughen them up. Like us. We had older siblings. You know.
All of us, even the oldest.
I was the eldest. We're like, it's good for them. Because, you know, older siblings think it's good for the kids, too.
Yes.
They think beating their younger siblings was a good thing.
Right.
Because it was.
Yeah.
It was right. But they, you know, it was for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway. Nintendo, hope you're listening.
Yep.
It's going to be a great
customizable controller.
It's going to be a great week when they finally announce, we're pulling all Switch 2s to implement some new ideas from some American artists. And people will be like, who? And then we'll go viral. And then we'll play the new Nintendo Switch 2 from our hotel in Tokyo. Maybe.
Where we might be
haunting.
like if you guys
Yeah.
hear that we suddenly die,
Uh-huh.
just
Don't
know,
believe it.
especially if we continue making YouTube videos.
Yep. Yeah, this doesn't stop. It'll just get this spookier, you know. Because like, what else are we gonna do? You know.
Yeah,
Sure, we're gonna haunt a
like
hotel, but
we
like,
can't go to work anymore because we fixed our debt.
yeah. So we'll have lots of spare time
YouTubing
between the
and giving tours.
tour guiding and YouTubing. It'll be like a dream come true. And one day we'll host this channel with our Nintendo Switch robots. You can watch
Our
them.
new best friends.
Mm-hmm. But until
With
then,
the customizable controllers.
But until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
As always, we're surprised you made it this far into our video.
There's no way we could possibly ask you to subscribe to this atrocity, so we won't.
We would say share it with your friends, but it's probably better for wasting your enemies' time.
We're probably not going to get any better, but we will keep drawing.
See you next time.